right, now we got another video from PragerU. Now this one is said, why did the Democratic South become Republican? Woo! Let's check this out, y'all. Make sure y'all hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. And I always got to say this before we start the video is shout out to everybody that's been going crazy, hitting that like button. I really, really appreciate it because YouTube will share the video out so more people can see my reaction to this video. So shout out to every last one of you that always click that like button as soon as you click on the video. I really appreciate it. And like I said, shout out to everybody that's been subscribing to the channel because I definitely got more good videos like this coming. So make sure you are subscribed to the channel and let's get into this video, y'all. Let's go.
Once upon a time, every student of history, and that meant pretty much everyone with a high school education, knew this. The Democratic Party was the party of slavery and Jim Crow, and the Republican Party was the party of emancipation and racial integration. Democrats were the Confederacy, and Republicans were the Union. Jim Crow Democrats were dominant in the South, and socially tolerant Republicans were dominant in the North. But then, in the 1960s and 70s, everything supposedly flipped. Suddenly, the Republicans became the racists, and the Democrats became the champions of civil rights.
Wow.
Fabricated by left-leaning academic elites and journalists, the story went like this. Republicans couldn't win a national election by appealing to the better nature of the country. They could only win by appealing to the worst.
Wow.
Attributed to Richard Nixon, the media's all-purpose bad guy, this came to be known as the Southern Strategy. It was very simple. Win elections by winning the South. And to win the South, appeal to racists. So the Republicans, the party of Lincoln, were to now be labeled the party of rednecks. But this story of the two parties switching identities is a myth. In fact, it's three myths wrapped into one false narrative. Let's take a brief look at each myth in turn. Myth number one, in order to be competitive in the South, Republicans started to pander to white racists in the 1960s.
Wow.
Fact, Republicans actually became competitive in the South as early as 1928 when Republican Herbert Hoover won over 47% of the South's popular vote against Democrat Al Smith. In 1952, Republican President Dwight Eisenhower won the southern states of Tennessee, Florida, and Virginia. And in 1956, he picked up Louisiana, Kentucky, and West Virginia too. And that was after he supported the Supreme Court decision in Brown versus Board of Education that desegregated public schools, and after he sent the 101st Airborne to Little Rock Central High School to enforce integration. Myth number two, Southern Democrats, angry with the Civil Rights Act of 1964, switched parties. Fact, of the 21 Democratic senators who opposed the Civil Rights Act, just one became a Republican. The other 20 continued to be elected as Democrats or were replaced by other Democrats. On average, those 20 seats didn't go Republican for another 2.5 decades.
Wow.
Myth number three, since the implementation of the Southern Strategy, the Republicans have dominated the South. Fact, Richard Nixon, the man who is often credited with creating the Southern Strategy, lost the Deep South in 1968. In contrast, Democrat Jimmy Carter nearly swept the region in 1976, 12 years after the Civil Rights Act of 1964. And in 1992, over 28 years later, Democrat Bill Clinton won Georgia, Louisiana, Arkansas, Tennessee, Kentucky, and West Virginia. The truth is, Republicans didn't hold a majority of Southern congressional seats until 1994, 30 years after the Civil Rights Act. As Kevin Williamson of National Review writes, if Southern rednecks ditched the Democrats because of a civil rights law passed in 1964, it is strange that they waited until the late 1980s and early 1990s to do so. They say things move slower in the South, but not that slow. So what really happened? Why does the South now vote overwhelmingly Republican? Because the South itself has changed. Its values have changed. The racism that once defined it doesn't anymore. Its values today are conservative ones, pro-life, pro-gun, and pro-small government. And here's the proof. Southern whites are far more likely to vote for a black conservative like Senator Tim Scott of South Carolina than a white liberal. In short, history has moved on. Like other regions of the country, the South votes values, not skin color. The myth of the Southern strategy is just the Democrats' excuse for losing the South, and yet another way to smear Republicans with the label racist. Don't buy it. I'm Carol Swain, professor of political science and law at.
Now this right here was crazy. At first, I'm up here looking, and shout out to I think her name is Carol Swain. I love the way she be narrating these videos, the way she talking stuff like throughout the videos. Shout out to her. Obviously, the woman knows what she's talking about, man. But when I was looking, they were saying like from the 1960s and the 1970s, the Republicans became racist. I'm like, what? And what make it so bad, I'm up here looking like from the 1960s to 1970. I would have thought it would have been like way far back. You know what I'm saying? So it's like the 60s and the 70s. It's supposed to be when they became racist. And I'm like, what? And obviously she put up like the myth. It was showing like a lot of the stuff was just false. So like I said, y'all let me know, like, what did y'all think of this? Like, if you had already watched this video before, what was the first thing came to your mind, like, when you was hearing some of this stuff? Because I'm like, wow. I couldn't even stop the video. I'm up here just listening like, what? It was a lot of stuff going on in the video, bro. I'm like, oh, my God. So like I said, why did the Democratic South become Republican? But like I said, shout out to Miss Carol Swain. Like I said, from when I did the first one, and then if y'all realize, you know, like Abraham Lincoln got assassinated for what he was trying to do, and it was just a lot, man. Like, especially coming from the first video that I did up to this one right here. So it was crazy, man. But y'all let me know what y'all thought about it. But man, like I said, once again, shout out to Miss Carol Swain. I hope I'm saying her name right, because like I said, I love the way she narrate the videos and talk throughout the videos, and letting you know what's true, letting you know what's false. So shout out to her. And like I said, y'all let me know down below what y'all thought about it. Like I said, make sure y'all hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and I'll catch y'all in the next one.